Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the MLB DFS slate breakdown for Friday, August 29th. We're here. We're breaking it down. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, as we got a nice big slate to go over. I'm your host, Tyler Wiemann, and come join us at LineStar. It's only $39.99 per month, or $240 for the year, and it gets you access to all we do: the props, the DFS, the best ball. You get it all, one low price for all the sports we cover. There is no second best. There is no better deal in DFS, and it does get you access to the websites and the apps. Now, let's jump into it. Thank you guys for joining us and trickling in here. I'm excited to get it in to the slate. And today, a little bit different because yesterday's slates were weird. We're just going to dive straight into the show, straight into the pitchers to consider. First, starting with high-owned guys, then some possible pivots. Then we'll jump over to the stacks to consider on both sites. Starting with DraftKings, our high-owned pitcher is George Kirby, 9,200, versus the Cleveland Guardians, who have been straight up awful. Over the last 20 games, 209 average, 127 ISO, 268 WOBA. They have just frankly been bad. Now, George Kirby has got off to a slow start this season because of an IL stint, but over the last 5, 2.67 FIP, 23.6% K rate. Over the last 20, 3.24 FIP, and a 23.8% K rate. The guy is an extremely good pitcher, one of the best, and he is in a very, very good matchup. I think Kirby probably should be one of the higher owned plays, and I don't mind having a ton of him with a game total of only 7.5 and giant favorites at minus 164. Makes a lot of sense that they're going high owned. Next, we got Jonah Tong. Now, Tong, he is a top prospect. Now, the thing that is very interesting to me is he had 162 strikeouts in 102 innings in the minors. He has been very, very good with a 1.68 ERA. So there is big time strikeout upside here, but we are talking about a guy making his MLB debut. You really never know what these guys are going to do in their debut. Now, he's been very, very good in the minors. He's facing the Marlins, who versus, righties are decent. They're not great, not bad. It's an okay matchup. Frankly, at his price, I think it makes some sense to get some Tong at 8,500. The upside is obviously there. He has big time strikeout stuff. So let's fire up some Tong. Next, we got Robbie Ray, lefty at 9K, 18% owned versus the Orioles. Now, Orioles have been awful versus lefties all season long. We do have wind blowing out, but Baltimore, 26% K rate versus lefties, 286 WOBA versus lefties, low ISO. Then you look at Ray himself, 3.83 FIP over his last 20 starts with almost a 24% K rate. Over the last 5, he hasn't been as good, but this is a very, very good matchup for him, and I'm totally fine going here. He is also a guy we know that has giant ceiling when he gets it going. You can see he has a slew of high 20s, low 30-point scores. And at 9K, I'm absolutely fine with taking that chance with him at home in a very pitcher-friendly venue. Next, we got Shane Bieber, 10K. We got a 19-point projection on him. He was amazing in his first outing, going 87 pitches, 6 innings, 1 earned run, 9 Ks. He's coming back in a very tough spot versus Milwaukee. Frankly, I think he may be going a little high owned in this spot. I have a hard time believing he's going to do what he did last time out versus Milwaukee, but he is a good pitcher. He is priced up a bit. I don't mind getting some, but I think this 37% K rate that he had from that first game is not likely to continue into this game. He did give up a lot of hard contact, so there is some warning signs there. This Milwaukee offense has been very, very good lately and is not one that I like to face. Also, they're only striking out at 17%, so I think there is a much, much lower upside than ownership is giving it credit. Next, we got Blake Snell, 9.8. 8K and 16% owned versus the Diamondbacks. Snell, elite pitcher, Cy Young winner, 2.29 FIP, 33% K rate. Then over the last 5, 3.3 FIP, 25% K rate. His StatCast data looks good. His thing has always been, can he hit the strike zone? Is his control on point? He does allow a lot of walks, 3.6 per 9 over both time frames. But when he is dialed in, the ceiling is unmatched, and it's only a matter of time till we get a 6-inning, 12K performance from him. And I don't mind this spot versus the Diamondbacks. Now, Diamondbacks have been hitting lefties very, very good lately, but Snell has also been very good versus the Diamondbacks in his career. So I think it's a fine spot at sub 10K. The ceiling is too high to overlook. And at a little lower ownership, I think it's very, very interesting. I don't mind having some. Next, we got Paul Skeens, 10.6K. Now, I got to warn you guys all. This Pirates versus Boston game does have very scary weather situations. So make sure you're checking weather as we get a little closer to game time. But Paul Skeens is Paul Skeens, and you can literally talk about him every single day, no matter who he's against. 2.25 FIP over the last 20, 2.62 over the last 5, 30% K rate. He allows a lot of fly balls, but 28% hard contact, 19% soft. And he's in an okay spot. I don't mind this matchup whatsoever. 25.6% K rate versus the Red Sox is fine with me. Now, I am hesitant. If there isn't a PPD, there is also a delay risk. So we really got to watch how this one plays out as it gets a little closer. But obviously, Paul Skeens is a matchup nightmare for any team, and you can consider him. 10.5K Rodon at 20.12 point projection. He is our second highest projection under Skeens. Now, that is all coming in at 9% ownership versus the White Sox. He has been solid this season, fallen off a little bit recently, but that StatCast data is very, very good. And we know there is huge upside. And while the White Sox are good, not good, they've been hitting much better. My big worry about this matchup is over the last 20, they're only striking out at 14%. We have Rodon at 17.7% combined K rate, and he is one of the most high-priced pitchers on the slate. So that is why he is not going super high owned. Does not mean he can't revert and still strike out everybody on this White Sox team today. So I don't mind getting some of him. Now, let's get into some cheaper pivots. I got to bring up Christian Javier. First, we got a 5-star alert score on him. All the green emojis are good. Javier has been very good versus the Angels in the past. He's much better at home. Angels striking out 28.7%, have a low WOBA. And while Javier's FIP 4.57 over the last 20 isn't great, or the 4.29 over the last 5 isn't great, at least this year he has had some tough matchups. And now he's in a matchup where over the last 62 at bats versus these Angels, he's striking them out at 46.8%. I think there's a huge upside at his price here. And with that, I got to consider some. And the Angels haven't been hitting that well lately either. Versus righties, 211 average, low WOBA. moderate ISO, as that's what the Angels do. They hit the ball hard, but they strike out a lot, 29% K rate. I think Christian Javier is a very interesting pivot with huge upside and going to go very low owned. And then we got to go to nasty Nestor Cortez at 6,900. He's only made a few starts for the Padres, but he's been pretty good. And a 4.74 FIP isn't terrible, especially a sub 7K, 21% K rate. StatCast data I'm fine with. The matchup data is elite, and he's done very well against Minnesota in the past with a 36% K rate and 238 average. Very high ISO. They can definitely hit some bombs off him, but as long as there's nobody on base, I think it's an interesting spot at 6,900. I don't mind it. You're talking about a guy that has had, 2 of his 6 starts going over 20 points, and he's 6,900. Absolutely fine getting to some of him there. Now let's get over to FanDuel. Check out our high ownership over here. We got Ray and Rodon as the 2 high owned. Absolutely fine going there. Rodon over here is only 9,500. So a K cheaper. Robbie Ray is in a great spot with a big ceiling. I'm fine going there, but do not sleep on Kirby, Snell, Skeens if that game looks fair with weather, because not only do you have to worry about the PPD, you also have to worry about in-game delay. And knowing Skeens is on the bump, it makes more sense for Boston to try and push and play, then get a delay. So maybe you don't see as much as Skeens. Then Javier, Cortez, I still do think are in play, but much less so on FanDuel, just because, you're going to likely need a ceiling today. We have 5, 6 if you want to throw in Peralta, kind of elite guys in elite matchups. And generally when there's that many guys, one of them has a 50-plus game, and you kind of needed to have them. Now, let's get over to some stacks before we can round this out for the day. Make it a quick little Friday show, and then I'll get over to the props show for full send Friday. Remember, that will be probably out around 11:30-ish is when I will start that. And all right, high stack of the day. We got Colorado game. So Chicago Cubs, 76% owned versus Colorado. It's a poor pitching staff with a terrible bullpen. Makes a ton of sense to want some Cubs. They are pricey, so you're probably going to have to pay down a little bit at pitcher, but they're in a great spot. Can't deny, the Cubs in Colorado. We got a 6.4 implied total. The one thing I'll say here is the last week Colorado games had much better hitting weather. While I think this game plays, there is, cooler temps. Winds aren't really helping, so the ball won't fly as easily as normal, but it's still at elevation, so that ball will fly. There are a lot of potential for runs. Now, our high projected stacks, we got the Yankees versus Gomez. Yankees have been just hitting home runs left and right. With that alone, I think you got to consider them. And he's going against a guy with a 5.27 FIP over his last 20. However, he's been good. Gomez has been good recently. I still think it's a very fine spot for the Yankees. I don't mind getting some whatsoever. And also Cubs are popping up. And let's get over to the value. Value play. We got Pittsburgh. Not sure who Boston will throw out, but once again, make sure to pay attention to weather. Milwaukee versus Bieber, fine getting a little bit. Texas versus Springs. Glad Texas is popping up. I love the Texas stack today. Springs allowing a hard contact, allowing a lot of fly balls, and nice hitting weather in Sacramento today. Dodgers have hit Gallen very well. Don't mind a little Dodger stack. Our high ceiling plays, we got Yankees, Toronto, and the Mets. Toronto's versus Peralta. Peralta can get lit up, so I don't mind that very, very low owned stack a little bit. Not going to go super hard on them, though, as it is, a lower likelihood of happening. But with such low ownership, if it happens, it's very easy to vault to the top of the leaderboards there. And Mets versus Perez. Perez has struggled a little bit in Minnesota. 5.1 FIP over his last 5. I don't mind a little bit of Mets who have started hitting a little bit better lately. High leverage plays. Boston versus Skeens. I'm probably not going to have much. If I get 1 or 2 stacks of them, fine. But not the highest on my totem pole. Arizona versus Blake Snell. I absolutely will have some Arizona. The thing with Blake Snell is he can be erratic. He can be missing the strike zone. He can let a lot of walks, and that just breeds runs if you make, a mistake to a home run prone hitter. Don't mind some Arizona. Another spot, I'm not going to go super hard on them, but I don't mind some leverage Arizona. Now let's click the teams tab before we can round this out. Johnson, we will talk about props on the next show, but I do not mind lighter over 1.5 walks. I think he's in for a tough night. Now, implied run total here for today's MLB slate. The Cubs, 6.4 implied runs. The A's, 5.3 versus Jack Leiter. I gotta say, I'm totally fine with some Cubs. One, they're starting to hit a little bit better. Implied total is high. I'm going to have some, but I'm not going to go overboard. I love this spot for the A's and Texas. I think both of them should be higher owned than they are, where Coors is going to get the ownership. We're only at a one run game total less and way low ownership. I'm going to have some A's. I'm going to have some Texas. I think it's a very interesting spot. Yankees at 5.2. Also interesting, fine going there. And 4.9 for Houston. It's a good offense. And Tyler Anderson is much worse away. So I think it's a very interesting spot there. I already said Dodgers hit Gallen well. So I'm very interested in that spot. If you look at his player card, it's literally he has allowed at least 2 runs versus Dodgers over the last 5 or 6 starts. And most of those starts are 3 or 4 runs. Then you have that terrible bullpen behind him. It's an interesting blow-up spot for the Dodgers. They actually absolutely could get to him. Texas at 4.7. Love it. One of my favorite ones. Colorado at 4.6. Cade Horton has been very, very good lately, but you got the elevation factor. Really just never know how a pitcher is going to perform there. I don't mind some Colorado stacks. KC at 4.6 versus Paddock. Paddock is about as boom bust as he comes. Generally, his third time through the order does not go well. And if he's getting to these guys a little earlier in the game, it becomes pretty interesting. Don't mind some Padres versus Sebby Matthews. Detroit in a very boom-bust spot versus Seth Lugo. You guys know I talk about Seth Lugo as a pitcher to consider pretty much every day. The fact that I didn't means he's probably going to have a huge day, but he has been super boom-bust. He's been bad recently. At his price, I just, couldn't bring up talking about him, but 8.45 FIP over his last 5. 5.03 over the last 20. The thing with him is he is got a guy that generally has an ERA much lower than his FIP, and he just gets away with it. So maybe, that bad luck he's been having will revert to good luck soon, but I don't mind some Detroit stacks. Mets versus Miami, don't mind some. Boston, we covered it. Angels, covered it. Angels is an interesting low-owned, lower implied run stack. The issue, like Snell, Javier can have some issues with control as well and let guys on. A home run happens and all of a sudden he's let up 3-4 runs, so I don't mind a little bit there. And then Seattle versus Logan Allen is interesting. Can't hate on Minnesota versus Cortez either. Cortez gives up a lot of hard contact, some fly balls, and Minnesota has some home run hitters. So smaller stacks of them I do think is interesting. That is going to do it do it for us today. We will be back next week, but my favorite stacks, Texas, A's, obviously Colorado, New York, Houston, Dodgers, the higher implied total ones. From lower side, KC, Padres, Detroit, Angels, Seattle, Minnesota, and that'll do it for today. You all have a great afternoon. Have a great weekend. We will be back on Tuesday because of Labor Day on Monday. Please like, comment, subscribe to our video. Do all of that stuff to just help the algorithm a little bit. Hope you guys have the best weekend. And next weekend, we have football. We do have a full slate of football shows for next week. We will do the Thursday night show on Tuesday afternoon, going over the first NFL game. On Wednesday, I'll probably have a prop show. On Thursday, maybe another NFL prop show. And then on Friday, the DFS main slate. It's pretty much how it's going to go every week for these NFL shows. You guys have a good one. Let's make some money. Have a great Friday. Talk to you all later. Peace.